Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Legacy here. Today, we're exploring a pretty wild fanfic scenario. What if Naruto became the strongest Hashira? If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you're always in the loop when a new one drops. Let's set a small goal. 51 likes on this video. I know we can hit it. Alright, let's get into it. Chapter 1. The rift opens. The night was thick with storm clouds as Naruto Uzumaki dashed through the dense forest, rain beating on his headband. Behind him, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi followed, each step urgent, each breath alert. Their mission had been simple: track the remnants of a rogue shinobi group outside Konoha's borders. But the air was wrong-charged, humming with something Naruto couldn't name. A streak of violet lightning split the sky, and the world seemed to fracture. Trees groaned, the earth shuddered, and above them, a swirling rift burst open, a hole in reality, bleeding colors Naruto had never seen. Kakashi-sensei, what is that? Sakura shouted, wind whipping her hair around her face. Kakashi's visible eye narrowed. Everyone, back together now? Stay CLO. The ground buckled. A gravitational pull seized them, stronger than any ninjutsu. The world was torn away beneath their feet as they were dragged upwards, the rift swallowing them with a soundless roar. Naruto reached out for Sasuke, fingers brushing his cloak, but the void yawned wider and everything went black. Naruto awoke to damp grass against his cheek and the distant call of a nightingale. For a moment, he thought he was dreaming. The air tasted old, heavy with incense and rain, threaded with something sharp and metallic. He pushed himself up, squinting. The trees were different here, tall, ancient, their leaves broad and unfamiliar. Lantern light flickered in the distance, and a strange, oppressive fear pressed at the edges of his mind. He felt for his chakra, out of habit, and winced. His chakra felt muted, as if a blanket had been thrown over a roaring fire. In its place, something raw buzzed in his veins, a power both foreign and wild. Sasuke was the first to stir, sitting upright with his hand already on his sword. "This isn't Konoha," he said flatly, scanning the shadows. Sakura groaned softly. "Did we get teleported? Why does the air feel so strange?" Kakashi knelt beside them, scanning the horizon. "Everyone all right?" Naruto nodded, brushing mud from his jacket. "Yeah, but my chakra feels off, sensei. I can barely mold any." Sasuke tried to form a Chidori, but only sparks fizzled in his palm before vanishing. "It's like something's suppressing us," he muttered. Kakashi's voice was low, grave. "We're not just in another land. We might be in another world." The oppressive aura pressed closer, a fear that seeped beneath the skin, colder and sharper than any killing intent Naruto had felt before. In the distance, a bell tolled, its chime lost quickly in the thick, hungry darkness. Somewhere beyond the trees, something screamed. Naruto met his friend's eyes, heart pounding. "Wherever we are, we're not alone." He stood, wind rattling the leaves overhead, and braced himself. Whatever world they had fallen into, whatever fear haunted its night, Naruto knew one thing: he wouldn't face it alone. End of Chapter 1. Chapter 2. Shadows and Slayers. The night grew heavier as the group moved cautiously through the unfamiliar forest. The oppressive dread only deepened, and even Sasuke's Sharingan seemed dulled by the strange, murky energy in the air. Every snapped twig sounded too loud. Every flicker of movement at the edge of their vision felt menacing. Suddenly, a howl split the darkness, raw, guttural, and close. Naruto spun, kunai in hand, just as a blur of claws erupted from the undergrowth. The thing that lunged at them was barely human, its mouth twisted in a perpetual snarl, eyes wild and bloodshot, fingers stretched into talons. It moved with terrifying speed, aiming for Sakura. Sasuke moved first, slashing his blade across the demon's arm. The wound hissed, but instead of blood, an oily black ooze dripped to the forest floor. The demon only roared louder, flinging Sasuke aside with one monstrous swipe. Kakashi tried a simple fire jutsu, but the flames sputtered, weak and blue. "Jutsu aren't working," he called. "We'll have to get creative." Naruto's heart hammered. He ducked beneath a swipe, feeling the demon's claws split the air inches from his head. His chakra was barely a flicker, but something else, a wild, electric energy, buzzed in his chest. Instinct screamed at him to move, to act. "Get back!" Naruto shouted, drawing the demon's attention. He remembered how he'd felt the air earlier, how it seemed alive, potent. He closed his eyes for the briefest second, drawing in a deep breath, feeling the world expand in his lungs. In and out. "Let the wind guide me." He leapt, spinning with the wind's current. His hands moved in an unfamiliar pattern, slicing the air. A sharp, Slicing force exploded from his movement, a crescent arc of wind, cutting clean through the demon's neck. The demon's body toppled, dissolving to dust before it even hit the ground. Naruto landed lightly, chest heaving. For a moment, all was still. Sakura stared. Naruto, what was that? Naruto blinked, dazed. I don't know. I just felt the errand. From the shadows, two figures stepped into the lantern light. One, with a striking Hanafuda earring, eyes bright with empathy. The other, dark-haired and stoic, katana already drawn. Tanjiro Kamado and Jitomioka had seen everything. Tanjiro's mouth fell open. He used breathing? But I've never seen that form before. Ju's grip on his sword tightened, suspicion etched in every line of his face. Stay where you are, he said sharply. Who are you? What are you doing here? Naruto raised his hands in peace. Good question. We're lost. Really lost. Tanjiro, empathy shining in his eyes, glanced from the fading demon dust to Naruto's bewildered, honest face. You saved your friends with that technique. Are you a demon slayer? Naruto shook his head. Not exactly. But if these things are running around, I want to help. Ju stepped forward, ice in his voice. We'll see about that. You're coming with us to meet the Hashira. Any resistance, and you'll regret it. Sasuke stepped protectively in front of Sakura, but Naruto nodded. We'll cooperate, he said, surprising even himself with his calm. But maybe you can tell us. Where are we? Tanjiro's look was gentle, but troubled. You're in Japan. But if you can do what I just saw, maybe you can help us stop the demons. The four shinobi exchanged glances, their mission rewritten by fate. In this strange new world, surrounded by shadows and slayers, Naruto felt the first flicker of hope, in the weight of a challenge only he could answer. End of Chapter 2. Chapter 3. First Contact. The forest had quieted, but the air remained thick with suspicion. Ju led the way, sword drawn, his gaze never leaving the four unfamiliar shinobi. Tanjiro followed close behind, his eyes flicking between the strangers and the shadows shifting in the trees. Sasuke's hand hovered near his sword hilt, every muscle taut. Kakashi kept one eye on Ju, the other scanning the forest as if weighing the odds for escape. Sakura stayed close to Naruto, her breathing measured, remembering how the demon had nearly claimed her. Ju stopped suddenly, blocking the path. Weapons. Drop them. His tone allowed no argument. Sasuke narrowed his eyes. You expect us to just hand them over? We're not your enemies, Naruto said, voice earnest but wary. We don't even know where we are. We were pulled here against our will. Tanjiro stepped between them, his face gentle yet determined. Ju, please. They saved each other, and they fought the demon, not us. I don't sense any malice. Ju didn't lower his sword. Intentions can change. Demons lie, and so do men. He glanced at Naruto. That technique you used, where did you learn it? Naruto scratched the back of his head, brow furrowing. I didn't. I just felt it. Like the wind told me how to move. For a moment, Ju's expression flickered curiosity, maybe even respect. But it vanished as quickly as it came. You'll still come with us. The Hashira will decide what happens next. Tension crackled in the air. Sasuke's grip on his sword tightened. Sakura eyed Tanjiro, searching for kindness. Even Kakashi weighed the situation, one hand loose at his side, the other hovering near his pouch. Before anyone could move, a small figure slipped between the two groups. Nezuko, her bamboo muzzle in place, kimono fluttering, approached Naruto, her eyes wide and childlike. Naruto crouched to her level, smiling, the tension in his shoulders easing. Hey there. You're not afraid of me? Nezuko tilted her head, then reached out to gently pat Naruto's sleeve. She hummed softly, as if offering comfort. Sakura relaxed, surprised by the girl's gentle aura. Even Sasuke let out a slow breath. Tanjiro smiled, his worry softening. Nezuko can sense people's hearts. If she trusts you, I do too. For a moment, suspicion faded. The clearing felt warmer, if only slightly. Ju sheathed his sword with a reluctant nod. We'll still bring you to HQ. But I'll lower my blade for now. Naruto grinned at Nezuko, ruffling her hair. Thanks, Mizuko-chan. Guess you just made some new friends. As the group set out together, led by Tanjiro and Ju, Sakura leaned in and whispered to Naruto. Maybe we can trust them too. Naruto nodded, glancing back at the path behind them. We'll have to. We're not getting home without help. Above, the sky was dark and uncertain, but for the first time, hope flickered at the edge of the unknown. End of Chapter 3. Chapter 4. Captive Guests. The journey through the woods was long, silent, and uneasy. At Ju's insistence, the Konoha group was blindfolded with thick strips of cloth and led single file. Every now and then, the distant sounds of civilization, soft temple bells, voices drifting on the wind, broke through the hush. But the world beyond their blindfolds remained a mystery. Naruto could feel the rough earth beneath his sandals, hear Nezuko's quiet footsteps ahead, and sense the weight of suspicion in every breath from their escorts. At last, the blindfolds were removed. They stood in the grand courtyard of a walled estate, lanterns casting sharp shadows across ancient wood. A dozen swordsmen watched from the periphery, wary and silent. In the center, a semicircle of Hashira awaited, each a presence that seemed to warp the air with their confidence and strength. Sanemi Shinazugawa's pale hair glinted in the torchlight, his glare as sharp as a blade. Abanai Iguro stood beside him, his eyes narrow, pet snake curling lazily around his shoulders. Shinobu Kocho regarded the newcomers with a serene, almost playful smile that never quite touched her eyes. Kagaya Ubuyashiki, the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps, sat before them, veiled in shadow. "State your names and purpose," Sanemi barked, crossing his arms. Naruto stepped forward, chin up. "I'm Naruto Uzumaki, and these are my friends, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi. We don't know how we got here. We're not from your world." A murmur swept through the Hashira. Abanai's voice was cold and mistrustful. "Not from our world? That's the kind of excuse a demon would use. You used strange powers. Who's to say you aren't Musen spies?" Sasuke met his gaze evenly. "Believe what you want, but we're not your enemies. If we were, we wouldn't be standing here." Sanemi sneered, unconvinced. "Talk is cheap. Prove you aren't a threat, or we'll cut you down right here." Shinobu, still smiling, tilted her head. "Actually, I have a better idea. Why not a trial by combat? If they truly have the strength to defeat demons, let's see it. One of our captured demons, perhaps? If they survive and do not use their so-called strange powers, then we'll know if they're trustworthy." There was a pause, heavy and tense. Kagaya's voice was gentle but firm. "Very well. A trial by combat it shall be. But remember, if you fail, there will be no second chances." Naruto exchanged a look with his friends, determination hardening in their eyes. They had been through impossible trials before, together. "Bring it on," Naruto said, his voice unwavering. The Hashira watched in silence as the Konoha shinobi were escorted from the courtyard, the night around them growing colder with the promise of what was to come. End of Chapter 4. Chapter 5. Trial by Breath. The arena was a simple, ringed clearing within the Demon Slayer estate, moonlight pouring down between the towering pines. Hashira, trainees, and Kakashi gathered at the edges, eyes fixed on the four unfamiliar shinobi. A thick iron cage sat at the center, a writhing shadow snarling within. Sanemi's voice rang out. "You'll use no chakra, no jutsu, only what the Demon Slayer Corps calls breathing techniques. Survive or die. Prove yourselves." Naruto exchanged a nod with Sasuke as they stepped forward. Kakashi and Sakura waited just outside the ring, tension in every muscle. The cage opened with a creak. The demon inside was small but wiry, its limbs twisted, its eyes burning with hunger. It sniffed the air, then lunged. Sasuke moved first, steady and analytical, recalling what he'd seen from Ju and Tanjiro. He drew a long, slow breath, lowering his stance. Breath of lightning, first form, thunderclap. He shot forward in a blur, blade crackling with barely contained force. The strike carved a gash across the demon's chest, but the wound barely slowed it. Naruto watched, heart racing. His chakra was still faint, nothing like back home. But he remembered the sensation from the forest, the wind's pulse, the rush in his lungs. He closed his eyes, tuning in to the currents swirling around him. He inhaled, long and deep, filling his chest with crisp night air. The demon lunged at Naruto, claws flashing. With sudden clarity, Naruto spun, the wind gathering at his back. Whirlwind breathing, first form, gale cutter. He slashed the air with his hand, and the wind seemed to sharpen. Whistling in a wide arc, invisible blades of force slammed into the demon, driving it backward and leaving deep, clean gashes along its body. The crowd gasped. Kakashi's lone eye widened in fascination. He's copying their techniques, but making them his own. Sasuke, seeing Naruto's success, pivoted to work in tandem. Breath of lightning, third form, thunder flow. He herded the demon toward Naruto, coordinating their attacks wordlessly. Naruto felt it. Each breath, each movement, the wind answering his call. He pushed forward, voice ringing out. Whirlwind breathing, second form, tempest surge. A swirling vortex of air encircled the demon, pinning it in place. Sasuke finished it. One clean, breath-powered strike that severed the demon's head. As the demon's body collapsed and dissolved to ash, silence fell over the arena. The Hashira exchanged stunned looks. Even Sanemi's scowl faltered, if only for a heartbeat. Shinobu's eyes shone with genuine curiosity. Naruto, chest heaving, glanced to Sakura and Kakashi. Sakura's eyes were wide with pride. Kakashi simply nodded, an unspoken well done in his gaze. Naruto turned to the Hashira, wind ruffling his blonde hair. Looks like we passed your test. For the first time since they'd arrived, the shinobi stood not just as strangers, but as warriors with a place in this world. End of Chapter 5. Chapter 6. New Hashira. New threats. The morning after the trial dawned pale and uncertain, mist curling through the courtyards of the Demon Slayer estate. Word of the shinobi's victory had spread quickly. Even the youngest trainees whispered about the foreigners who had defeated a demon with nothing but borrowed breath. Inside the Hashira meeting hall, the air was still tense. Naruto stood at the center, eyes fixed ahead as the council deliberated. Sanemi scowled, but even he couldn't hide the reluctant respect in his voice. You passed the test. That went breathing. It's nothing I've seen, but it works, he admitted, folding his arms. But don't expect us to trust you overnight. Abanai's pale eyes narrowed, the snake on his shoulders flicking its tongue. We'll be watching you. One wrong move, and Kagaya Ubuyashiki's gentle voice interrupted, his tone firm but warm. You have proven your resolve and strength. Naruto Uzumaki, we welcome you among us as the Whirlwind Hashira. Use your power for the sake of humanity, as our ancestors did. The Hashira murmured their approval, some more reluctant than others. Shinobu offered Naruto a delicate smile, the kind that hinted at both mischief and approval. Sasuke and Kakashi stood at Naruto's side as Kagaya continued. You two have also shown unique abilities. Sasuke Uchiha and Kakashi Hitaki, I would like you to serve as lead instructors for the Demon Slayer Corps. Our warriors can learn much from your skills. Sasuke simply nodded, ever the stoic. Kakashi's uncovered eye crinkled with a hint of amusement. I suppose it's time for a new generation of teamwork exercises, he quipped. Sakura Haruno. Kagaya went on, turning to the pink-haired Kunoichi. Your healing abilities are remarkable. Shinobu, I trust you'll welcome her as your assistant. Shinobu's smile widened. With pleasure. I've always wanted a diligent apprentice. Sakura bowed, hope flickering in her heart despite the heaviness of this world. For the first time since arriving, she felt like she had a role to play beyond mere survival. As new duties were assigned and allies made, few noticed the shadow that lingered just beyond the estate's walls. Far away, hidden in the deepest reaches of the night, a pale figure gazed into a polished mirror, his eyes bottomless and cold. Musen Kabutsuji watched the events unfold, his vision cutting across distance and darkness like a knife. These strangers, he murmured, voice softer than a whisper, are not ordinary. The wind user, the thunder and lightning, the healer, their power feels foreign, yet formidable. He turned to the assembled upper moons, who knelt in the gloom, their forms shifting with impatience and dread. We cannot allow them to tip the balance, Musen declared, his gaze promising agony. Find out what they are. Break them if you must. If the Hashira believe themselves safe with these new allies, we will teach them the true meaning of terror. The Demon Lord's smile was thin as a blade. In the moonlit halls of the Demon Slayer estate, a chill wind stirred, an omen of darkness yet to come. End of Chapter 6. Chapter 7. Shared Training. Life at the Demon Slayer estate settled into a new rhythm, one woven through with cautious hope and lingering suspicion. As word spread of the Whirlwind Hashira's arrival, crowds of trainees began gathering near the practice fields, eager or wary to see what the newcomers would do next. Naruto embraced his new role with open arms. His enthusiasm and constant encouragement quickly drew a following, especially among the younger slayers. He laughed as he trained, never hiding his excitement and never letting a single mistake go by without an encouraging word. He gathered a group beneath a cluster of wind-bent trees, Tanjiro at his side. All right, listen up. Wind isn't just for speed. If you really feel it, you can guide it. It's not about forcing your breath, but working with the world around you. Like this, Naruto demonstrated his whirlwind breathing, first form Gale Cutter, the arc of wind slicing cleanly through a line of practice dummies. Tanjiro's eyes widened with admiration. I've never felt wind like this before, Tanjiro admitted. It's gentle and fierce all at once. Naruto grinned. That's the secret. Let it carry you. Don't fight against it. Some trainees, inspired by Naruto's attitude, copied his movements, hope lighting their faces. But not all were thrilled by the new Hashira's fame. Whispers followed him. He's too flashy. He's not even from our world. Why does he get to be Hashira so fast? Naruto noticed, but he never let it dull his smile. Instead, he went out of his way to include everyone, especially those who hung back. Meanwhile, on the sparring grounds, Sasuke faced off with Ju and Zenitsu. Ju, ever silent, matched Sasuke's quick, precise movements, water breathing flowing against lightning breathing, the air crackling with tension. Zenitsu, nervous at first, found courage watching Sasuke's focus. Lightning is about anticipation, right? Reading what's next before it happens, Sasuke nodded, a faint smirk tugging at his lips. And overcoming your fear of what comes after. Their training sessions drew a crowd too, Ju and Sasuke's rivalry radiating cool, silent respect. Zenitsu, after a few failed attempts, finally managed to spark his own variation on Thunderclap, drawing applause even from the usually stoic Ju. Elsewhere, Sakura and Shinobu spent long hours in the Butterfly Mansion, comparing notes over medical texts and vials of rare herbs. Sakura marveled at the precision of Shinobu's poisons and the complexity of her treatments. You can save someone on the brink of death, Shinobu observed, studying Sakura's hand as she healed a deep cut. But your healing draws on something beyond what our world allows. Sakura shook her head. It's chakra. I can only access a fraction of it here. There are wounds I can't heal without it, and poisons I can't counter. Shinobu's gaze softened, curiosity in her tone. Perhaps, if we combine our knowledge, we can do what neither of us could alone. The two women bent over their work, blending techniques, trading stories of battles won and lost. Though the barriers of world and tradition remained, a fragile friendship began to blossom, rooted in their shared desire to save lives. As the sun set over the estate, Naruto watched Tanjiro train, Sasuke spar, and Sakura laugh with Shinobu. He felt, for the first time since the rift had torn them from their world, a sense of belonging, but also the weight of new expectations and old resentments waiting in the shadows. He whispered a silent promise to himself. I'll protect this place, just like I did my own home. No matter what. End of Chapter 7. Chapter 8. Bonds and Jealousies. The Hashira gathered for their routine training, a test of endurance, skill, and trust. Today, the air carried an extra edge, sharpened by the presence of Naruto, the newest among them, whose legend was already growing faster than some were comfortable with. Sanemi's eyes followed Naruto with a predator's wariness, every muscle tense as the wind user demonstrated his gale cutter for a group of eager trainees. The whirlwind arced perfectly, scattering a pile of logs with a force few had ever seen. Whispers surged through the ranks, admiration, envy, and doubt blending in a potent mix. Abanai stood apart, arms crossed, his snake twined around his neck. He acts like he's always belonged here, he muttered, voice low and sharp. One miracle and everyone forgets he's an outsider. Sanemi grunted in agreement, a dark look clouding his scarred face. He hasn't earned this. Not like we did. Power isn't everything. Nearby, the trainees watched, some with awe, others with narrowed eyes. As the group broke for water, a young slayer named Itsuki stumbled, his leg bleeding from a training accident. The other trainees hesitated, unsure whether to fetch help or continue. Naruto knelt beside the boy at once. Hey, you're okay. It's just a cut. You did great out there, he said, voice gentle but sure. With practiced hands, he tore his own sleeve for a bandage, binding Itsuki's wound. The kindness reminded Naruto of a younger version of himself, lonely, desperate to be seen and accepted. He ruffled Itsuki's hair, offering a wide, reassuring grin. You'll be running again in no time. Just don't push too hard, alright? Itsuki blinked up at him, surprise softening to gratitude. Thank you, Naruto-san. Sanemi watched the exchange, his scowl deepening. But beneath the resentment flickered something else, a memory of his own painful youth, always having to fight for everything. As the day wore on, Tanjiro found Naruto resting beneath a willow. You always have time for everyone, Tanjiro said, his smile sincere. Even when some of the Hashira still doubt you. Naruto shrugged, gazing at the clouds. I know what it's like, being on the outside. But sometimes, if you keep trying, people see your heart. Tanjiro nodded, feeling a deep kinship growing. You remind me of someone I lost. Someone who always believed in second chances. The two sat together in comfortable silence, brothers in spirit if not by blood. Meanwhile, in the shade of the butterfly garden, Nezuko tugged playfully at Sakura's sleeve, gifting her a tiny bouquet of wildflowers. Sakura beamed, tucking a blossom into Nezuko's hair. Shinobu watched them from a distance, her usual reserve softened by the rare, peaceful sight. Despite the jealousy and suspicion, new bonds wove quietly between the worlds. Bonds forged not just by battle, but by kindness, understanding, and the hope for something better. But in the shadows, Sanemi and Abanai's doubts lingered, unresolved. Not everyone was ready to let go of their fears. And as dusk settled, Naruto wondered how many hearts he would have to win before this world truly became his own. End of Chapter 8. Chapter 9. The Upper Moon's Challenge. News of horror arrived just before dawn. A messenger, bloody and trembling, collapsing at the gates of the Demon Slayer estate. A demon, not like any other. The fourth of the Upper Moons, the village. He fainted before finishing. The Hashira moved instantly. Naruto, now accepted as one of them, volunteered to lead the response with Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke at his side. They arrived to find the village already in ruins. Moonlight revealed splintered houses, blood staining the cobblestones. Terrified survivors huddled wherever they could find shelter. Above it all, on a ruined rooftop, stood Upper Moon 4, a monstrous figure of shifting eyes and mouths, its laughter echoing like broken glass. Such strong sense of fear and something new. The demon sang, its many tongues flickering. "Shall we play, little Hashira?" Naruto stepped forward, eyes narrowed. "You want a challenge? You've got one." Tanjiro drew his sword, the red-stained steel glinting. Zenitsu trembled, but stood his ground, lightning in his veins. Inosuke howled, eager for battle, twin blades flashing. The demon split into multiple forms, illusions warping reality. Suddenly, they were everywhere, claws, teeth, mocking laughter. The villagers' screams filled the air as shadows darted through the chaos. Naruto's instincts took over. He inhaled deeply, feeling the wind swirl around him. Whirlwind breathing, second form, tempest surge. A rushing vortex of wind carved a path through illusions, scattering the lesser demon forms. But with each technique, Naruto felt his body strain, his stamina burning faster than ever before in this strange world. Tanjiro moved beside him, water breathing flowing seamlessly with Naruto's wind, their attacks covering each other's blind spots. Zenitsu, eyes shut in terror, unleashed a perfect thunderclap and flash, cutting down one of the demon's avatars before vanishing in a blur. Inosuke, wild and reckless, hacked at the demon's limbs, shouting challenges at the shifting monster. "You can multiply, but you're still ugly." The demon retaliated, claws raking across Naruto's shoulder, its illusions pressing into his mind. Darkness threatened to swallow him. But Naruto gritted his teeth, focusing on the breeze in his lungs, the shouts of his friends, the memory of Konoha. He rose again, whirlwind breathing, third form, cyclone barrage. A spiraling wall of wind exploded outward, shredding the demon's main body. The illusions faltered, revealing the true form cornered, desperate. Tanjiro and Inosuke moved in for the final blow. With a cry of "now," Naruto, they launched their finishing strikes together. Wind, water, and beast breathing converging in a storm of power. Upper Moon 4's head flew free, its body dissolving to ash. The village fell silent, the survivors too stunned even to weep. Naruto staggered, clutching his chest, sweat pouring down his face. Each use of whirlwind breathing left him weaker, his stamina draining faster in this world. But he stood tall, forcing a tired grin. "We did it." "You all did great," he managed, pride and exhaustion mingling in his voice. Tanjiro placed a steadying hand on his shoulder. "We couldn't have done it without you, Naruto." As the first rays of sun crept over the battered rooftops, the four defenders stood among the ruins, bloodied, battered, but victorious. Somewhere in the shadows, however, a pair of eyes watched, cold and calculating, as a new chapter of their struggle began. End of Chapter 9. Chapter 10. First losses. Dawn broke over the ravaged village, golden light glinting off broken tiles and splintered beams. The demon's ashes scattered on the wind, but the scent of fear and blood still lingered. Villagers emerged from hiding, their faces drawn with horror and gratitude. The wounded were tended by Sakura and Shinobu, but not everyone could be saved. As the Demon Slayer Corps regrouped, the true toll became heartbreakingly clear. Among the fallen was Itsuki, the young trainee Naruto had bandaged just days before. He tried to help guide survivors to safety, only to be caught in the crossfire of the demon's illusions. His sword lay shattered beside him, his body still and pale. Naruto knelt at Itsuki's side, hands trembling. The world faded to silence, the devastation around him nothing compared to the weight pressing on his chest. "Why I was right here. I should have." Flashes of other losses surged up, Jiraiya sinking beneath the waves, Niji falling in the forest, friends and mentors gone in battles where Naruto was never strong enough, never fast enough to save everyone. He pressed his fist into the dirt, throat tight. I promised. I promised I'd protect them. Tanjiro placed a gentle hand on his shoulder, eyes shining with shared grief. But Naruto couldn't look at him, not yet. Later, as the sun rose higher and the wounded were carried away, Jitomioka found Naruto sitting alone beneath the ruins of a shrine. Ju's voice was quiet, almost lost to the morning breeze. Loss is part of this path. Even the strongest can't save everyone. Naruto shook his head, anger and sorrow mingling. That's not good enough. I can't just accept it. Ju looked away, his own memories flickering behind stoic eyes. You learn to carry it. The pain never leaves, but you keep moving, so their deaths mean something. Kakashi approached from behind, hands deep in his pockets, his single visible eye warm but tired. He's right, Naruto. We all wish we could save everyone. But sometimes, all we can do is honor those we lost by protecting those who remain. If you lose yourself to grief, you can't help anyone. Naruto stared at the sky, the ache in his chest slowly easing, if only a little. He remembered Jiraiya's words, Niji's sacrifice, the belief his friends placed in him. The world was always cruel, always ready to take something precious. But Naruto knew he had to stand back up. He brushed the tears from his face and looked at Ju and Kakashi, determination flickering back to life. I'll remember Itsuki. I'll fight even harder. I'll become strong enough that no one else has to die. Kakashi smiled gently, placing a reassuring hand on Naruto's shoulder. That's all anyone can ask of you, Naruto. Together, they stood, the three of them shaped by loss, but still unbroken. As the village began to rebuild, Naruto swore silently to the fallen, your memory will live on in every breath I take. I won't fail you again. End of Chapter 10. Chapter 11. Demons and Doubts. The aftermath of the battle left the Demon Slayer estate shrouded in a new, uneasy quiet. Word of Upper Moon 4's defeat quickly spread, but so did whispers of something darker. Rumors that Muzan Kibutsuji's gaze had fixed itself upon the shinobi from another world. At first, it was just idle talk, nervous chatter among the younger slayers, murmurs in the mess hall and training fields. They say Muzan is obsessed with them. What if he's planning something worse? We're all targets now. But the rumors gained weight when two more villages were struck in the same week. Demons seeking only the Konoha ninja, leaving cryptic messages scrawled in blood. Morale among the Hashira began to falter, old doubts resurfacing. Sanemi's resentment simmered into open suspicion, and even Shinobu's calm began to crack. Sasuke, quiet and cold-eyed, slipped into the shadows to investigate. Using his keen senses and the stealth that once made him feared in his own world, he tailed a group of demons moving under the cover of darkness. He overheard the truth in a ruined shrine, watching as a demon prostrated itself before a fragment of Muzan's will, a pulsing, formless shadow. They are not like the others, the voice whispered, chilling Sasuke to the bone. Bring me the strongest. I will remake the core in my image. They will serve as perfect vessels, or be destroyed. Sasuke's jaw tightened. Muzan wasn't content with slaughter. He wanted to corrupt the very heart of the Demon Slayer core, turning slayers into his own immortal demons. Meanwhile, Sakura found herself fighting a different kind of battle. During a night patrol, an ambush left the stone Hashira gravely wounded, poison coursing through his veins, wounds far beyond anything Sakura had faced before. She worked tirelessly beside Shinobu, hands glowing, mind racing through every healing technique she knew. But her chakra fizzled and faded, and the poison was unlike any in her world. Sakura's voice broke as she pressed her hands to the dying man's chest. I'm sorry. I can't save him. The Hashira smiled weakly, gratitude and resignation in his eyes. You tried. That's enough. Shinobu's face was gentle, but her words were edged with sorrow. Even miracles have limits, Sakura. We can only do our best. As the stone Hashira slipped away, Sakura bowed her head, feeling her own doubts deepen. Her gifts, once limitless, now felt painfully small against the scale of this world's suffering. The Konoha ninja regrouped that night, tension thick in the air. Sasuke reported what he had learned, his expression grim. Muzan's changing his tactics. He wants to use us, turn us, or the core, into demons. He's trying to break our spirits before he attacks. Naruto clenched his fists. Then we'll have to fight harder. For Itsuki, for the fallen, for everyone who's counting on us. But as the night deepened, so did the doubts, creeping into every heart, even the bravest among them. Muzan's shadow grew longer, and with it, the realization that victory would not come without terrible cost. End of Chapter 11. Chapter 12. Sakura's awakening. Nights grew longer in the Demon Slayer estate, and the shadows felt heavier with every passing hour. After the stone Hashira's death, Sakura threw herself into training, refusing to rest. Failure gnawed at her. Failure to save, to heal, to be enough. Under Shinobu's watchful eye, Sakura practiced blending the precise techniques of insect breathing with her medical ninjutsu. Shinobu taught her to move with lightness and accuracy, to strike with both power and grace. Sakura, for her part, shared the art of chakra control, teaching the Butterfly Mansion healers to make the most of their limited strength. One stormy evening, as the mansion's corridors echoed with the sound of distant thunder, Sakura and Shinobu prepared antidotes for a new, more virulent demon poison. Their work was meticulous, but a creeping unease kept Sakura on edge. Suddenly, a window shattered, black shapes pouring in from the night. Demons, twisted and silent, slipped through the shadows, aiming for Shinobu, the master of poisons. "Get back," Shinobu warned, blade flashing. Sakura reacted without thinking. She inhaled, feeling the air swirl in her lungs, just as Naruto had taught. Insect breathing, modified form, cherry blossom gale. She moved, faster than she ever had, her hands glowing with green chakra as she struck at a demon's exposed neck. Venom met chakra, the demon shrieked and fell, dissolving to dust. But another demon blindsided Shinobu, razor claws inches from her throat. Sakura dove, slamming her palm into its chest, unleashing a concentrated burst of healing chakra, a shock so pure it burned the demon from within. Sakura's vision blurred. Her body trembled from the effort, her chakra nearly depleted. She pulled Shinobu to safety, blood seeping from a cut along her own arm. Shinobu coughed, pale but alive. "You saved me." Sakura's breath was ragged, her hands shaking. "I just did what I had to. I can't lose anyone else." The demons withdrew, their numbers decimated, but the victory tasted bittersweet. Sakura collapsed to her knees, tears streaming down her face, not from pain, but from exhaustion and fear. For a moment, despair threatened to swallow her whole. Shinobu knelt beside her, steady and warm. "You are not alone, Sakura. Not in this fight." Sakura looked at her friend, hope flickering behind the storm in her eyes. "If there's even a chance to save someone, I won't stop. I'll fight to the end." Outside, the storm eased. The estate stood battered but unbroken, its defenders drawing strength from each other. Sakura's heart, though pushed to the brink, refused to give in. And somewhere in the darkness, a new resolve took root. A promise, fierce and unwavering, to never let despair win. End of Chapter 12. Chapter 13. Sasuke's Darkness. Thunder rumbled through the forest, rain slashing the leaves and drenching the earth in shifting shadows. The storm had come fast and wild, masking the scent and sound of the enemy until it was almost too late. Sasuke and Ju stood back to back, swords drawn, senses straining. Across the clearing, the forest warped and shimmered. Upper Moon 3 emerged, a tall, elegant demon with a sly smile and eyes swirling like whirlpools. Well, the prodigy from another world, in the stoic water Hashira. What exquisite prey. Lightning flashed, illuminating the demon's too wide grin. Without warning, the world fractured. Dozens of phantom copies darting through the trees, each whispering half-remembered fears and regrets. Ju moved first, water breathing flowing through the chaos, slashing at illusions that flickered out of reach. Sasuke gritted his teeth, activating his Sharingan. The world slowed, patterns and movements crystal clear, but the demon's illusions pressed against his mind, dredging up darkness long buried. "You could have saved them," one illusion whispered in Itachi's voice. "You're always too late," hissed another, morphing into images of fallen comrades from both worlds. Sasuke shook his head, focusing on the storm around him. He drew a deep breath, feeling the raw pulse of this world's energy merge with his own. Lightning breathing, fifth form, Thunder Serpent. He became a streak of light, slicing through two illusions, sparks trailing in the rain. The real demon materialized behind Ju, claws aiming for his back. Sasuke saw it first, pushing his exhausted body further. He intercepted the blow with his sword, electricity crackling in the storm. But Upper Moon 3 was fast, faster than anything Sasuke had ever faced. The demon's claws raked his side, blood soaking through his cloak. Sasuke staggered, vision blurring, the pain fueling his anger. Ju shouted, "Sasuke!" But Sasuke only glared, the Sharingan spinning. "I'm not finished yet." He forced himself up, breathing deeply. Lightning crackled around him, thunder echoing his rage and resolve. Together with Ju, they pressed forward, Ju's water flowing around Sasuke's storm. The demon laughed, taunting, "So much pain. So much hate. You'll make a beautiful demon, Uchiha. Sasuke answered with silence, funneling all his fear and fury into a single, desperate strike. Lightning-breathing final form. Black Tempest. A black and blue arc of energy cut through the rain, cleaving the demon's head from its shoulders. The illusion shattered. The storm fell eerily silent. The demon's body dissolved, its mocking eyes the last to fade. Ju caught Sasuke as he collapsed, breath ragged, blood still flowing. "You pushed too hard," Ju muttered, voice trembling. Sasuke's lips twisted into a bitter smile. "That's the only way I know." They stood in the clearing, battered and victorious, but not whole. Sasuke clutched his bleeding side, memories of darkness swirling at the edge of consciousness. Ju's stoic mask was cracked, haunted by the cost, by how close they'd both come to losing themselves. As the rain eased, Sasuke whispered, "We survived. This time," but the victory felt hollow. In the forest hush, Sasuke realized the fight was not just against demons, but against the darkness within, growing with every battle. End of Chapter 13. Chapter 14, Kakashi's Plan. The estate felt on edge, as if even the wind was holding its breath. Injuries from recent battles kept the medical wing full. Hashira gathered for long, tense meetings while the younger slayers trained late into the night, whispering about what might come next. Kakashi Hitaki, always a shadow on the edge of things, spent his days moving quietly among both Demon Slayer scouts and his own shinobi team. His masked face betrayed little, but his mind worked tirelessly, studying old maps, listening in on panicked reports from the field, and slipping away for his own silent reconnaissance. It was one of the Kakashi who finally brought him the clue he needed, a battered survivor babbling about a castle that shouldn't exist, a fortress of twisting rooms and endless halls appearing and vanishing at Musen's will. Infinity Castle. That night, while the Hashira gathered in the main hall, Kakashi stepped into the center of the room. All eyes turned to him, some respectful, others impatient. "I know where Musen is hiding," he announced simply, laying a map on the table. He calls it Infinity Castle. It exists outside the normal world. Its rooms shift and stretch, making it nearly impossible to find, let alone attack. Abanai frowned, skepticism in his voice. "You expect us to storm a castle that can move?" Kakashi's visible eye crinkled. "Not alone. That's why we'll need to hit him from every angle at once." He outlined his plan, voice calm and assured. A select force would enter the castle head-on, drawing the main body of demons and Musen's strongest defenders. Meanwhile, a second group, led by Kakashi, with help from Mist and Serpent Hashira, would use ninja stealth and breathing techniques to infiltrate the castle's hidden passages, seeking out the keys to Musen's power. A third team, led by Sakura and Shinobu, would set up a network of healers and backup outside, ready to support the wounded and hold back any fleeing demons. "We'll need to split up," Kakashi explained, "or we'll be picked off in the castle's traps. We attack all at once. If we're lucky, we'll catch Musen before he can escape, or regroup." The Hashira exchanged worried glances. Sanemi grunted, "It's suicide." Kagaya, ever serene, nodded in approval. "But it is the only way. Musen must be defeated, no matter the cost." Kakashi looked at each of his friends in turn. "Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura. It'll take everything we have. Some of us might not come back." Naruto nodded, his eyes steely with resolve. "Then we'll give it everything. For the ones we've lost." A hush settled over the hall, heavy with dread and hope. As the meeting ended, forces began to gather, blades sharpened, resolve steeled, final letters written to loved ones. Above, clouds raced across the moon, and in the distance, thunder rumbled once again. War was coming, and for the first time since the rift had opened, everyone, shinobi and slayer alike, stood united, their fate entwined by a single, desperate plan. End of Chapter 14. Chapter 15. Night before the end. A rare hush fell across the Demon Slayer estate. Preparations for the assault on Infinity Castle were nearly complete, and for one night, the blades were sheathed. Shadows flickered on the walls from lanterns that burned long into the darkness, casting golden halos over weary faces. Trainees, Hashira, and shinobi gathered in small clusters throughout the mansion and gardens. Some wrote letters to families they might never see again. Others trained until exhaustion claimed them. But most simply sat together, voices soft, sharing stories and memories as if clinging to the light before it was swept away. Naruto found Tanjiro beneath a spreading maple, the air tinged with the scent of autumn leaves. They sat side by side, knees drawn to their chests, silent for a long moment. Tanjiro was the first to speak. "I keep thinking, if we win, What comes next? What would you do if you had peace? Naruto grinned, his eyes shining even in the gloom. I'd want to see Konoha again. Eat ramen every day. Laugh with my friends, maybe become Hokage, someone who can protect everyone. Tanjiro smiled. I'd like to build a house in the mountains for Nezuko, let her see the sunrise every day. Maybe grow flowers, help heal people. They fell into companionable silence, each thinking of the future they longed for. So close, and yet impossibly far. Naruto's voice was gentle when he finally spoke again. Whatever happens, I'm glad I met you, Tanjiro. You're like a brother to me. Tanjiro blinked, tears glistening in his eyes. Me too, Naruto. Me too. Elsewhere, Sakura wandered the moonlit halls, hands wringing the hem of her uniform. She found Shinobu on the porch, tending to her medical supplies with meticulous care. I keep replaying every mistake, Sakura admitted, voice trembling. All the ones I couldn't save. If I lose you tomorrow, if I lose anyone, I don't know if I can stand it. Shinobu's smile was sad but strong. You care because you have hope, Sakura. Don't ever lose that, even if it hurts. You made me believe in miracles again. Whatever happens, I'm proud to have called you my friend. Sakura wiped her eyes, a shaky laugh escaping. I'm proud, too. In the garden, Sasuke leaned against an ancient stone, eyes fixed on the crescent moon. Memories of his brother and his family, the pain and choices that had shaped him, drifted through his mind like ghosts. He wondered if he'd ever find peace, if the darkness inside him would ever let go. Kakashi approached, saying nothing, simply offering his silent presence. The two stood together, words unneeded, bound by the weight of their shared regrets. As midnight drew near, lanterns dimmed and voices faded. Yet the estate pulsed with unspoken words. Hopes for tomorrow, confessions left unsaid, silent prayers to gods old and new. For one last night, everyone breathed the same air, carried the same fears, and dreamed of a dawn that might never come. End of Chapter 15. Chapter 16. Infiltrating Infinity Castle. The world seemed to hold its breath as the Demon Slayer Corps and their shinobi allies gathered before the shimmering gateway, a tear in the fabric of reality itself. Infinity Castle loomed beyond, a maze of endless halls and shifting shadows, each step inside blurring the line between nightmare and waking. Kagaya gave a final, quiet blessing. Then Kakashi led the first wave, Naruto at his side, Tanjiro and the Hashira following close behind. The moment they crossed the threshold, reality twisted. Floors became ceilings, corridors stretched on forever, staircases turned in impossible angles. Screams echoed from distant chambers, the castle itself alive with malice. Stay close. Kakashi barked, his Sharingan scanning the shifting landscape. We split up only when necessary, but the castle had its own plans. With a grinding lurch, the floors shifted, splitting the assault into scattered squats. Naruto and Tanjiro were swept down a spiraling hall, its walls pulsing with veins of crimson light. Sakura and Shinobu found themselves in a vast, poison-choked garden, the air thick with venomous mist and writhing demonic flowers. Kakashi and Sasuke, along with a handful of seasoned slayers, landed in a cavernous chamber of mirrors, the chill in the air announcing an even deadlier foe. Naruto and Tanjiro skidded to a halt at the threshold of a grand, lantern-lit dojo. The temperature plummeted. Upper Moon One waited there, blade in hand, his presence like a physical force, cold and unyielding. His voice was quiet, almost mournful. Welcome, wind and water. Show me the resolve that brought you this far. Without warning, he moved, faster than either had faced before. Naruto barely parried, the air shattering with each exchange. He pushed himself, wind swirling around him, each technique draining more and more of his energy. Tanjiro, Naruto shouted together. The two synchronized their attacks, water and wind fusing into a roaring tempest. But Upper Moon One was relentless, wounds knitting closed, his own breath techniques refined over centuries of slaughter. Elsewhere, Sakura and Shinobu raced through the deadly garden, the air a haze of poison. Demons with venomous claws and petals for teeth struck from every side. Shinobu moved with effortless grace, blade flashing, but even she was pushed to her limits. Sakura's healing chakra burned through the toxins, but her reserves dwindled with every life she saved, every wound she sealed. She caught Shinobu as a demon's stinger grazed her side, pouring the last of her strength into a desperate antidote. Don't you dare die, Sakura whispered, holding back tears. Shinobu managed a pained smile. Not while you're here, Sakura-san. In a mirrored chamber, Upper Moon Two's laughter bounced off every surface, disorienting the team. Illusions danced. Blades appeared from nowhere. Sasuke and Kakashi fought back to back, their movements in perfect harmony. Sasuke's Sharingan pierced the trickery, but the demon's claws found their mark, blood splattering across glass. Kakashi unleashed a volley of kunai, lightning crackling, but the demon's speed was inhuman. Sasuke drew deep, desperate breaths, lightning breathing fueling each strike, each movement. "We end this together," he growled. Kakashi nodded, grim determination in his eye. Like always, throughout Infinity Castle, the battle raged, slayers and shinobi alike fighting not just for victory, but for survival. Every room was a trap, every breath hard-won. And at the heart of it all, Musen's laughter echoed, mocking, promising ruin to all who dared oppose him. But even as hope flickered and blood stained the floors, the Alliance pressed forward, wounded, exhausted, but unbroken. End of Chapter 16. Chapter 17. The Cost of War. Infinity Castle seemed to shrink around them as the battle dragged on, corridors narrowing, ceilings pressing low, the walls stained with blood. The cries of the wounded echoed through the ever-shifting maze. Victory, if it came, would be bitter and incomplete. The slayers and shinobi paid dearly for every step gained. In the mirrored chamber, Upper Moon 2's illusions grew more frenzied, striking from every reflection. A razor-edged attack targeted Kaneo as she staggered, breathless, from a hidden wound. She froze, just for an instant. Kakashi, seeing the threat, threw himself between her and the demon's claws. The blow landed deep, cutting through muscle and bone. Kakashi's vision swam, pain flaring, but he held firm, protecting Kaneo with his own body until Sasuke and the remaining slayers could overwhelm the demon. Kakashi dropped to one knee, blood pooling beneath him. Kaneo caught him as he fell, her tears lost in the chaos. Why would you?" Kakashi smiled, faint but true. "Sometimes, the next generation needs a little more time." Near the poisoned gardens, Sakura worked with frantic hands, healing wound after wound as demons swarmed. Every touch burned away another sliver of her chakra. She found Ju, gravely injured and barely conscious, blood streaming from a gash in his chest. Sakura pressed her palms to his wound, pouring in the last of her power. "Stay with me," she begged, her voice hoarse. Ju's breathing steadied, color returning to his cheeks. "You saved me," again. But behind her, cries went unanswered. 3 trainees, children, really, lay still, too far gone for her exhausted strength to reach. Sakura wept as she closed their eyes, feeling the cold bite of failure all over again. Shinobu, limping and pale, touched her shoulder gently. "You did everything you could, Sakura." Sakura could only nod, heart splintering. In the lanternlit dojo, Tanjiro's world narrowed to pain and survival. Upper Moon 1's sword was everywhere, cutting, breaking, shattering hope. One misstep, and a blinding flash of agony tore through Tanjiro's arm. His sword fell to the floor, blood gushing from the ruined limb. He cried out, collapsing, but Nezuko's voice, her soft, wordless plea, pulled him back from the edge. "I'm here, Nezuko. I'll keep fighting. I promise." With his remaining hand, Tanjiro snatched up his sword, fighting on through tears and pain, water and wind mingling as Naruto moved to shield his friend. Together, they held the line, buying precious seconds for those behind them. Everywhere in Infinity Castle, the price of war was measured in bodies and broken dreams. Some victories came too late, some wounds would never heal. Still, they pressed forward, out of duty, love, and the promise they would not fall alone. As the walls trembled and Musen's laughter grew louder, Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke, and their allies braced themselves. The cost was staggering, but the end was finally in sight. End of Chapter 17. Chapter 18. Sacrifice. Infinity Castle trembled, Musen's rage warping the world around him. Demons poured from every shadow, more relentless than ever. Wounded slayers fell, cries echoing through collapsing halls. The lines between rooms and reality blurred. Time seemed to stretch and snap, every second heavier than the last. Naruto's breaths came ragged, his body battered, chakra nearly spent. Wind breathing alone was no longer enough. He moved on stubborn will and the memory of all he'd promised. At Tanjiro's side, he staggered past bodies of friends and foes alike. A new horde of demons surged. Naruto dropped to one knee, vision swimming, but something deep inside him refused to break. He remembered the teachings of Jiraiya and Fukasaku, the weight of all those who had believed in him. He drew the world's energy into his being, mixing it with the rhythm of his breath. His eyes flashed gold, pupils toad-like sage mode. But now, as he drew breath, the wind itself circled his form, blades swirling in a vortex of nature and power. "Whirlwind sage mode," he whispered, standing tall. He felt every wound, every loss, every hope, channeling them into a single surge of force. Tanjiro watched, on his eyes despite his pain and loss. Naruto, is this your true strength? Naruto offered a sad, determined smile. Let's end this, together. They moved as one, Naruto's wind tearing through demons, Tanjiro's blade slicing the remnants. The path to Muzan was littered with sacrifice, but at last, the final door stood before them, pulsing with a sick, dark energy. Elsewhere in the castle, Sasuke and Abanai fought side by side, slashing through the last defenders barring the way to Muzan. Suddenly, from the shadows, a demon lunged, its claws aimed straight for Abanai's heart. Without hesitation, Sasuke shoved Abanai aside, taking the blow himself. The claws tore through his armor and into his ribs, blood pouring down his side. Abanai dispatched the demon, but Sasuke fell to one knee, teeth gritted in agony. Why? Abanai managed, voice breaking. Sasuke only shook his head, his eyes still burning with the will to fight. We all protect what matters. Go, help them finish this. In the poison garden, Shinobu's breathing slowed as venom overtook her body, wounds from the last ambush festering despite her own antidotes. Sakura worked frantically, tears streaming, pouring the last of her healing chakra into her friend. Stay with me, Shinobu, please. Shinobu smiled weakly, her hands squeezing Sakura's. You have to keep going. There are others who need you more. A fit of coughing, flecks of blood on her lips. Sakura sobbed, but Shinobu's eyes never left hers. Don't let hope die, Sakura. Promise me. I promise, Sakura whispered, even as the life faded from Shinobu's gaze. Shinobu's hand slipped from hers, the gentle warmth leaving the world. Sakura's scream was silent, a wound deeper than any poison. At the heart of Infinity Castle, Naruto and Tanjiro pressed on, outnumbered but unbowed. The last hope of two worlds carried in their battered bodies. Sacrifice was the price, and they paid it gladly, so that others might see the dawn. End of Chapter 18. Chapter 19. The Final Battle. Infinity Castle's heart was a twisted throne room, pulsating with shadows and malice. At its center stood Muzan Kibutsuji, ancient, beautiful, monstrous. His eyes burned with fury and hunger, his aura thick with centuries of suffering and hatred. Tanjiro staggered forward, his right arm bloodied and useless, face streaked with tears and sweat. Naruto followed, gold-flecked eyes dimming as the power of Sage Mode and whirlwind breathing battered his body from within. Around them, the last of the castle's walls collapsed, dust and broken memories swirling in the void. Muzan smiled, a mask stretched thin over hatred. So few left. You are persistent, but it will not matter. He surged forward, faster than thought, arms twisting into blades. Naruto barely blocked, the force sending him skidding across the fractured floor. Tanjiro leapt in, blade flashing, but Muzan swatted him aside like an insect. You fight for hope, but hope is a lie. Muzan hissed, voice echoing from every shadow. Your friends die. You will die? The world forgets. Naruto forced himself upright, every breath a razor in his lungs. Maybe the world forgets, but we don't. And I will not let you win. With a final, shuddering breath, Naruto summoned the last of his chakra and the world's natural energy. The wind screamed around him, leaves, dust, broken stone, and the cries of the fallen swirling into a roaring tempest. His body crackled with power, the sage markings blazing. Tanjiro. Now, Naruto called, voice ragged. He charged, pushing his battered form beyond its limits. Whirlwind Sage Mode. Final Tempest. The wind exploded outward, tearing into Muzan, pinning him, slicing through his countless defenses. Muzan screamed, lashing out, his form splitting and writhing. But Naruto didn't let go. He poured everything in, every memory, every promise, every ounce of love for the worlds he'd called home. His body burned from within, bones shattering, blood leaving him with every heartbeat. Muzan, desperate, twisted his own power into a single, obliterating strike, black tendrils impaling Naruto's chest and stomach. Naruto's vision faded, light blooming at the edges, pain turning to numbness. But Muzan was weakened, his defenses shattered. Tanjiro, barely standing, used the opening. He gripped his sword in his remaining hand, tears streaming down his face. For Nezuko, for everyone, for Naruto, sun breathing, final form. His blade blazed with the light of 1,000 dawns, cutting through Muzan's heart. Muzan howled, his form unraveling, shadows fleeing the light. The monster's last act was to hurl what remained of Naruto's body across the broken throne room. As Muzan's ashes scattered, silence settled, a silence heavy with grief. Tanjiro crawled to Naruto's side. lifting him into his lap. Naruto's breaths came slow, shallow. He smiled faintly, blood on his lips. "You did it, Tanjiro, you saved them." Tanjiro sobbed, shaking. "Stay with me, please, Naruto." But Naruto's eyes closed, a final, peaceful smile on his face. "Tell everyone. I'm glad I met you." His hand slipped from Tanjiro's grasp, falling still. Muzan was gone. The night ended, but the price was more than victory. It was the loss of a hero and the wound of a friendship that would never heal. End of Chapter 19. Chapter 20. A world without Naruto. Dawn finally broke over the ruins of Infinity Castle. In its place, only silence and the battered survivors remained. The sky was soft and golden, the kind of morning that should have felt like victory. Instead, it only deepened the ache left by all they had lost. The Demon Slayer Corps and the remaining shinobi gathered outside what was once the castle's heart. Sakura knelt in the dew, Naruto's headband clutched tightly in her trembling hands. His scrolls, each one filled with the secrets of whirlwind breathing, annotated in his hopeful scrawl, lay at her side. Sakura's tears fell freely, her shoulders shaking. "You idiot," she whispered, pressing the headband to her heart. "Why did you always have to be the one to save everyone?" Shinobu's old Hayori rested across her knees, a silent promise to carry on both their legacies. Sasuke stood apart from the others, eyes distant and haunted. He was wrapped in the silence of a man with nowhere left to go. The rift between worlds, once pulsing and alive, had faded, leaving only the Demon Slayer world behind. The way home was gone, unable to face the emptiness of a village that no longer existed for him. Sasuke vanished into the mountains, taking up his sword as a wandering Hashira. His legend grew, as did the stories of the lone swordsman with the lightning eyes. Always searching, always restless, never able to stop moving. The Demon Slayer estate rebuilt itself in fits and starts. Wounds healed, but scars remained. Trainees practiced in the courtyards, repeating the forms and breathing techniques Naruto had shared. The scrolls he'd left behind became treasured heirlooms, passed from hand to hand, from generation to generation. Tanjiro, arm in a sling, watched the new recruits. He saw in their faces the hope that Naruto had once carried, an ember, fragile but unbreakable. The corps was smaller now, its ranks marked by the absence of old friends and new ones lost too soon. A stone grave stood beneath the oldest tree on the estate, simple but lovingly kept. Flowers grew thick around it. A blue and orange scarf rested across its base. On a soft spring evening, Tanjiro knelt by the grave. He placed his palm against the carved name, Naruto Uzumaki. "I promised you, didn't I?" he whispered, voice trembling. "That I'd protect them, that I'd never give up. Your will, your fire, it's alive in all of us now." He smiled through tears, letting the silence answer for both worlds. Nezuko joined him, placing her tiny hand over his. The sun dipped low, painting the sky in colors Naruto would have loved. Life went on. The world was safe, but the ache of loss, quiet and endless, lingered just beneath the surface, in every story told around the fires, in every wind-borne leaf that danced across the training fields, and in every breath, the promise endured. "I'll never forget. I'll carry your dream, always." End of story. And that wraps up today's story. What if Naruto became the strongest Hashira? I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did putting it together. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, drop a comment with your thoughts or your own what if ideas, and of course, subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.